Hello and welcome back. In today's tutorial, we will be looking at MIDI messages more broadly than in previous tutorials. Very early on, we already met the note on and note off messages. We needed them to play sounds on the MIDI instrument. We learned how to construct and send these messages to the MIDI device. Then we learned about the program change and bank select messages and wrote program code that enabled us to select voices on individual channels on the instrument. Today we will be looking at examples of so-called common controller messages, or otherwise known as control change messages. If you did a search on the internet, you'd come across documents, such as this one, with descriptions of MIDI messages. Here are the note on and note off messages. But what we are interested in now are the control change or CC commands. There are quite a lot more of them than you see here, but for now we will focus on a couple of really useful ones: volume and pan. Now, the format of all CC messages is the same. It consists of 3 bytes. The 4 high-order bits of the first byte are the so-called status code, and in most cases it is hexadecimal B. Then comes the channel number. The second byte is the all-important control change number. Lastly, we have the value to be assigned to the controller, for example, the volume level. We will also implement the all notes off function that was somehow missed earlier. All notes off is also a CC command. On the UI, the volume level and pan will be manipulated with sliders. As you know, these lines are just instances of the same user control, so to equip each channel with a volume and pan control is just a simple matter of adding 2 slider controls and associated code to the user control. But before we get into that, I want to discuss the MIDI message class. I created a new subclass for CC messages. This class has a message type field. The message type is in fact the MIDI message that can be sent to the MIDI device. On Windows, the 3 bytes of a CC message are combined in the reverse order. Take for instance the volume message. Here the leftmost byte is the status code and the channel number. The middle byte is the control change number, which is hexadecimal 7. And the rightmost byte is the default volume level, hexadecimal 64, which is decimal 100. In the future, I will be adding more message types to this enumeration. The first send method up here can be used to set the common controller to its default value. In the second send method, I'm replacing the default value with the value passed in as an argument to the function. The send CC message on the device object is not new. We already used it to send note on and note off messages to the MIDI instrument. Now let's look at the channel user control. Here are the volume and pan sliders. The allowable range for both the volume and pan controls goes from 0 to 127 in 1 unit increments. Fractions are not allowed. However, the slider control's value property is a double. In order to create equal integer number divisions in the slider control, I reduced the range by 1 unit. It is also a good idea to turn on is snap to tick enabled. The event handlers in the class are very simple. A message object is created with the appropriate message type, and its send method is called with the channel number and the control's value as arguments. For the pen control, I thought it was a good idea to offer a way to easily reset it to the default value, which is the middle position. One thing I grappled with, and I still don't have a satisfactory solution, is that when the main window is created, these events are automatically executed. But at that stage, the device object has not been created yet. I tried to have the slider control disabled and hidden by default, but these events still got called. So I had to put in these checks, but I don't like this. I don't think the value changed event should fire when a slider control is created. Personally, I consider that a bug. Before we finish, let's take a quick look at the implementation of the All Notes Off function. The All Notes Off button is in the keyboard class. When it is clicked, the appropriate message object is created, just like we saw in the event handlers of the volume and pen sliders. The only difference here is that this MIDI message is sent out on all active channels. Channel activity is a static class with an array of flags to store the activity status of each channel. This completes the tutorial. I hope you got something out of it. Questions and comments are welcome. Bye for now.